What's up, y'all? Talon here. Today I'm back with another series of battles featuring teams in the Regulation F metagame. Today I have a team that was created by Rerun Papa, a Japanese player who we featured a lot on their channel. I'll have their Twitter linked in the description below, along with the rental code and the Pokepaste with the EV spreads for this team. But going into an overview of this team, this is a hard Trick Room team with a lot of cool elements introduced in the Indigo Disc DLC. All these options are newly legal in Regulation F, except for the Amoonguss, actually. The Primarina, Porygon 2, Incineroar, and Metagross returning mainstays of VGC, and then Raging Bolt, a new face that we have been using a bit on this channel already, but yeah, just a ton of really powerful Pokemon in combination with Amoonguss, one of the longest standing VGC staples of all time. So looking forward to trying this team if you want to try it for yourself. Again, I have the Pokepaste and the rental code in the description below. With all that being said, if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let's get into a breakdown of this team now. So as I mentioned, it is a hard Trick Room team, so I think we're going to start off with this Porygon 2, the main Trick Room setter on the team. It has some quirks to it. Usually you'll see a Porygon with Tri-Attack, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, even being the main attacks, but a lot of people are shifting over to Tera Blast, and there's a couple reasons for that. But I think the main one is it pairs exceptionally well with Download, so being able to get the Download attack or special attack boost, regardless of what you get, if you go for a Tera, the Tera Blast will switch to the higher of your attack or special attack. So no matter what, you're kind of making good use of that download boost, which is really something that's important on Porygons. You used to see like Return or Tri-Attack Porygon 2 trying to get the most of that, but now you can basically centralize that to one move slot and go for your Tera to take advantage of it instead of taking two move slot, which is a balance for sure, but it lets you run some tech options. Recover, Trick Room are pretty much staples on every Porygon 2. Trick Room to get the Trick Room up, of course, to support the rest of your team, and Recover means later in a game as you're taking damage, potentially on your Trick Room setup turn, you can go for Recover and get back to full HP, and then set it up once Trick Room ends pretty consistently. Porygon, one of the most consistent Pokemon in the game at getting Trick Room up more than once, which is really, really valuable. What makes this Porygon stand out to me is the Protect option. So yeah, this Protect option is really nice because you have actually an Explosion of Metagross on the team. So a lot of times you can lead Metagross plus Porygon. Your opponent will try to get cheeky, double into your Porygon, stop the Trick Room setup for the rest of your team, knowing they can pretty much just outspeed the rest and handle you outside of Trick Room. But then they just get caught by the Protect, double into that, and then get Explosioned on. That can be really devastating for them. So beyond that, it is a Tera Fairy Porygon. So if you go for the Tera Blast, you're able to hit Iron Hands, you're able to hit Urshifu for super effective, and usually get a knockout if you have the special attack boost. So yeah, really cool Porygon, but we'll move into the other Pokemon on the team now. Namely the Metagross, we have already mentioned it, but you have Tera Normal Choice Band Explosion at your disposal, which can do incredible damage on turn 1 and set you up for an easier sweep in the late game. Outside of that, it is Hammer Arm. So Hammer Arm, your strongest option to hit Incineroar. Bullet Punch, really good at knocking out Fluttermanes with the Tera. If they can only go for Tera Fairy or Tera Stellar, you have a knockout into that. And then Psychic Fangs is just very good, 100% accurate coverage. You don't have to go for Send Headbutt anymore because it does get access to the Psychic Fangs. Yeah, that's really good into Amoonguss. I think a Trick Room team can never have too many answers to Amoonguss, so having that KO there can be really appreciated, or at least forcing the Tera. Primarina is the secondary damage dealer on this team. It uses its Liquid Voice to change Hyper Voice to a water move, so you have two really strong specs spreads tab options. Try saying that 3 times really fast. I definitely could not, but yeah, you have the Hyper Voice and Dazzling Gleam as just generally strong spread options, and then you have the Ice Beam to hit Amoonguss, and Moonblast is just a strong single target option in case you're in the face of Wide Guard, or you don't really want to be spamming your spread moves. You want to be a little bit more concentrated with your damage. To complete your Fire Water Grass core, we have an Amoonguss and an Incineroar. The Amoonguss, very, very standard. It's Rocky Helmet to sponge up Surging Strikes from Urshifu. A little bit better. Definitely Urshifu still a dominant force in this metagame, carrying over from Regulation D and E. Outside of that, it's Tera Water. Yeah, pretty standard. Rage Powder pairs really well with Porygon. On lead, you can go for that Rage Powder, Trick Room, and pretty consistently get Trick Room up unless you're playing against Fake Out or a Safety Goggles or Grass type Taunter. Pollen Puff is incredible when you're basically your damage dealers on this team are Specs and Choice Banded respectively, so they don't have any way to defend themselves. So Rage Powder for when they're in a compromised position, and if they've taken any damage already, Pollen Puff to heal them back up. And then Spore is just good for buying your team turns to either get more Trick Rooms up or do more damage in Trick Room and stop your opponent from protecting. Incineroar is definitely a Trick Room mainstay. You can go for the Fake Out plus the Porygon to guarantee Trick Room, or if you think Intimidate is sufficient to allow Porygon to live any hits. You can go for Parting Shot with a slow Incineroar, get in your Primarina and Metagross, and then just go to town with 4 turns of full Trick Room without having to waste one switching out. That's a good combination. It's a Tera Grass Incineroar with Citrus Berry. Instead of something like Safety Goggles, I generally lean to get as many hard answers to Amoonguss on your Trick Room team as possible, just because a Spore on such a slow Pokemon can be really difficult to handle, but we are opting for the Tera Grass here to ignore Rage Powders and also ignore Spore. So yeah, that's just the choice there. I guess Primarina is also Tera Grass, so you don't have to worry about Amoonguss that much, but yeah, just generally err on the side of caution. If you see an Amoonguss in Team Preview, that's definitely got to be priority number 1 in eliminating. Knockoff is an incredible utility move. Being able to knock off like choice items, for example, can really limit the effectiveness of your opposing Pokemon's potency, I guess. Yeah, and then the Flare Blitz is just strong into Amoonguss into Steel type, so generally Amoonguss' strongest attack if you need to get some damage on the field. Raging Bolt is the last Pokemon, and it looks a little weird, but I think it pairs incredibly well with the Incineroar and the Amoonguss. With leftovers, you have a ton of bulk, you have Calm Mind to bulk up your special defensive side even better, while Incineroar's Intimidate lowers the offensive potency on the physical side of your opponent. And yeah, I think a good way to close out games is get a bunch of damage, get a bunch of threatening Pokemon like Primarina and Metagross on the field later in the game, and then as the game is winding down and your opponent is trying to double protect to stall out Trick Room, you can go for Calm Mind and then clean up the game after Trick Room ends with +1 or +2 Thunderclap with Tera Electric. That's a really strong option. There's some anti-synergy here with the Draco Meteor where you're trying to boost up, but you're also dropping yourself with Draco Meteor. In a more sustained game, that could be a little annoying, but Trick Room teams generally end battles a bit quicker, so I don't really mind the Draco that much here. That will do it for a breakdown of this team. If you enjoyed these videos, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, definitely makes a ton of difference. And with all that being said, let's get into the rank battles now. Okay, really meta team for my opponent here. They have Entei, Landorus, Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Latias, and Urshifu. Usually it's a King Gambit in that slot, but not this time. I think I'm going to go for the Explosion combo this game. I think it's pretty strong against most of their Pokemon except for the Fluttermane. If they lead that, I can go for the Bullet Punch. Outside of that, the Primarina seems pretty strong. I can go for Tera Grass to wall Ogerpon, and then I guess the concern is the Landorus. Or the Entei. Extreme Speed Entei could be annoying. I think I will go Amoonguss just defensively. It seems very strong. But I am a little weak to Entei's Sacred Fire on lead. They can kind of just hit into that slot, and Primarina doesn't love taking it. Their Assault Vest set, then they handle my Primarina reasonably well, so I want the Amoonguss to be able to potentially Spore and Assault Vest Entei in Trick Room. Okay, my opponent leads Latias Ogerpon, which is maybe as ideal as it could be for the Porygon plus the Explosion Metagross combo. I think I'm going to go right for it. I don't think I want to go for the Tera Normal, just because they could switch in Fluttermane reasonably well. I doubt they do, but they could. And I think it'll probably get Ogerpon, or at least it'll bring them both in Dazzling Gleam range, which is what I'm aiming for. And most importantly, I don't really want to burn my Tera. I think defensively, my Tera could be kind of important this game on Porygon or the Primarina, so I don't want to burn that just right away. More likely the Amoonguss, actually. Like, I think against the Entei, the ability to go for a Tera on Sacred Fire, or really just anything, could be pretty valuable. Tera Fairy on Porygon in the face of a Dark Urshifu could be good. But if they double protect here, they definitely got me. I don't think Latias traditionally carries it, and with Porygon moving first to the protect, I really don't see them having a way out of getting exploded on here. They didn't lead very proactively against Trick Room, but yeah, they did just double into the Porygon, trying to ignore the Metagross, but that is exactly what this Protect Porygon preys on. We get the Explosion off. Choice Banded, 135 attack stat, I think. Maybe 130. Which should probably knock out the Ogerpon, and also knocks out the Latias with a critical hit, which might not have mattered. But I think with all the damage, like, they weren't really exerting a lot of pressure with the Latias, so I don't exactly feel too bad about it. We'll see who they have in the back, but I think I have pretty much guaranteed Trick Room with Amoonguss, and no reason to risk the Primarina just yet. So they bring out their Urshifu that does look like the dark one based on the sprite and also the username, and then the Landorus is last. Okay. We should have this cleaned up with Hyper Voice, but just to be sure, we're going to go for a Rage Powder. Well, do I have to do that? Yeah, let's go Rage Powder Trick Room. Could have gone in the Primarina most likely, but no reason to risk that. They need a safety goggles to even touch my P2 here. Most likely they're going to lose their Focus Sash on the Urshifu. Substitute wouldn't even help them on the Landorus. Yeah, they went for Substitute. Interesting. That's not going to matter. They're going to find out pretty soon. They go for Close Combat, which does a lot. That looks Choice Banded to me. Certainly Choice Banded, actually. And they do take a Rocky Helmet chip, so that actually does work out pretty well for me. They've lowered their special defense, and now I think they have to... Yeah, they could be Sand Shear Storm. That would be a little annoying, but I doubt it. I think it's most likely Earth Power Sludge Bomb substitute on a lot of these sets, especially without a Rain Dance setter. But I think, yeah, they've gone for Close Combat. They burned a potential Focus Sash, but I think the damage is suggestive of Band. And now we're going to eat another Close Combat. They are going for a Tera on their Landorus, it looks like. Which is interesting. I'm not sure why. But it is Tera Poison, so they will be able to live a Hyper Voice. Maybe, maybe not. It is kind of a frail Pokemon even despite this. We go for Rage Powder. We should be redirecting the Urshifu's Close Combat into a Earth Power or something from the Lando. Yeah. They revealed those speed tiers last turn. I think they kind of needed to knock off. I guess they were reading Spore into the Lando and me not protecting the P2, but very, very safe play for me. Sludge Bomb is going to go into the Amoonguss. I guess I could have lost if they were safety goggles and they had made the read of me switching out the P2, but not the case. After eliminating their first two Pokemon and losing only just the Metagross, it does really simplify games for us where we can just bring in the right Pokemon to guarantee Trick Room or just guarantee these late game knockouts. And we do actually even get the special attack boost. At this point though, Hyper Voice will go through Substitute. With the Close Combat drops, we're going to knock out the Landorus. We actually won't get to see that mechanic because we'll be knocking off the Substitute here, but I don't know, trust me. It is a sound move. Just going to have to trust me on that one. We don't actually knock out, which is interesting. They will have a knockout with the Sludge Bomb, but with the P2, full HP, EV Light on the board, even with like quadruple protects, they'll still lose this game. But even though it did end up just being one Pokemon to one Pokemon, that trade in the beginning just really oversimplified the game in our favor. And it just made it really difficult for them to have any sort of comeback. And yeah, they do lock in the forfeit there. So able to show off the Explosion Metagross combo right off the bat. Definitely very impressive, but there is a lot of things that can stand in the way of it. Obviously, your opponent knows it is coming. They can just double protect the first turn to reveal what you're going for. But in a best of one ladder setting like this is definitely a very effective strategy just to go protect Explosion, switch in your Incineroar, your Amoonguss, guaranteed Trick Room, or the Primarina if you feel like the damage is sufficient, and then close it out from there. Okay, up against Bones, featuring a lot of the new Pokemon actually. They have the 100% new Pokemon. They have Archaludon, Incineroar, Superior, Comfey, Smeargle, and Gouging Fire. So Smeargle's a nightmare to play in best of one. Comfey's usually pretty predictable. It'll be a Calm Mind set or a Floral Healing Grassy terrain set. But I'm confused why the Superior is there with this team. A lot of potential setups. They could be Stamina. They could be like population bombing their own. Archaludon with Smeargle, I don't know. Gouging Fire is interesting too, but I think Trick Room's pretty stable here. They don't have a lot of like quick damage outside. Like even the Gouging Fire is a little bit slow to activate, I think. We can't intimidate that. I think Incineroar is actually a pretty strong lead along with the Porygon 2. Playing it a bit boring here, I'd say, but that's not the worst thing in the world when you have something you're unfamiliar with. I could actually see Smeargle, my Firewater Grass Core being pretty good here with Primarina. It does seem quite strong. Archaludon would be a bit of an issue. Hammer Arm's good against that. Actually, I think I won't do the Amoonguss. I think that's a little passive. I'm gonna go with the Metagross. I have seen a physical contrary superior, but usually they are special, so they actually don't deter intimidate that much. And if I can maybe threaten fake out on the Smeargle turn 1, that'd be good. Like stop any of that shenanigans. And Metagross, I probably won't be able to go for my explosion combo this turn. That's the issue when you're playing against a potential fake out like Incineroar or Smeargle. You can't really go for the Protect Explosion that easily. Okay, it is Smeargle or Chaladon. There definitely could be some cheese coming there. I might just fake out the Smeargle. It could be Covert Cloak though. Special attack boost is pretty solid. Good parting shot, but I think I'm just going to fake out you, and we're going to see what our Chaladon does, unfortunately. Smeargle's terrifying. It's probably Tera Ghost. But yeah, this is my first game against Smeargle on the ladder, so we're going to see what sets they're cooking with. That's the issue with Smeargle. It is like generally pretty mediocre, but there's always the chance they have the exact perfect Tera type, item, etc. to clean your clock, and they are not Tera Ghosting and they are not Covert Cloak, so that is ideal. They body press, but it's not even a 2-hit KO because they did not activate stamina yet. That's good. I feel like Tera Blast is going to knock them out. Moody, speed, oh god, I forgot about Moody. That's disgusting. I'm just going to parting shot them. I don't want to give them a stamina boost, and I just want to limit their damage output as best I can for my Primarina in the back. Water hole, okay. That makes sense. So they probably have a knockout in my Porygon too, unfortunately. But we should be knocking out their Smeargle at least. So that's going to be, if they're loaded dice, that's at least +4. So that's going to be pretty deadly. Yeah, Population Bomb is what I predicted in Team Preview, but Water Shuriken definitely the better option. It has a priority of, I believe, +1, and I think it's, with loaded dice, still going to be, yeah, at least we knock out the Smeargle, but Body Press is definitely a concern here because I brought in Incineroar instead of the Amoonguss. Amoonguss would pretty much deal with it here, but Primarina, gonna need to get pretty targeted with my Moonblast. Yeah, that's a very scary damage. Okay. Oh, I have Metagross in back. I don't think I love tanking that though, so I'm gonna go into Primarina. Yeah, I can at least force... I can't really force a Tera. How much is this doing? Goodness. Not a 2-hit KO though. Yeah, I think they're unlikely to be Electro Shot. I'd kind of expect... Okay, Comfy. That could be Floral Healing. I'd actually expect it to be so. I honestly doubt they knock me out with Flash Cannon, or I don't think they have Electro Shot. Hyper Voice would be interesting, but I think Moonblast is probably a little bit safer of a lock. I just want to knock out this before it goes for Trick Room or something, basically. Like, that's really what I'm trying to avoid. Like, they have a knockout in the Porygon too, sure. Most likely, but I think Floral Healing will heal any damage I do to our Chaladon this turn, so we're just going for a knockout with Tera Blast. It looks like we're going to be pretty close to it. And yeah, we do knock them out with the combo, so they're unable to go for a Trick Room. They're unable to go for any Floral Healings this battle. It is probably a knockout with Body Press. Wow, actually, that's... You always do underestimate things like Como with the Iron Defense, like how significant that stab typing is to it, but it's just entirely essential here for them. Okay, Superior, they have not used their Tera yet. I think I'm going to chance a Moonblast into the Archaladon. And I think Recover's an option, but I think Tera Blast into the Superior is a little better. Let's just take some damage. They protect, fair enough, but I think they're probably Assault Vest on the Archaladon. Yeah, so we could have doubled into it, but with Assault Vest, most likely, and a Resist, it wouldn't have done that much. Oh, we do a lot of damage, actually. We might have even knocked them out, but we activate another Stamina boost, unfortunately, and they did have Electro Shot. Interesting. That special attack drop could actually be important here. Are you Power Herb or what? No, you're not. Okay, well, you've just locked yourself into that, so I'll take my knockout. And do I want to protect on the superior? I could, but I think they probably just attack into my this guy, and I think I can lock this game up with Bullet Punch at this point. If I get a little bit of damage into the superior. They never used their Tera. I think Tera Ghost could have been pretty annoying for me on the first turn, because they would have been able to knock out the Incineroar right away, I think. So yeah, very interesting strategy from them, but fortunately we did at least lead the Incineroar and not fall victim to a Covert Cloak Tera Ghost strategy. I think I would probably run Covert Cloak on this sort of team just to stop that sort of fake out, but regardless, we have the Leaf Storm superior against the world here. I can fake out if I want to, but I probably should. Could I lose to Tera Ghost? Probably. It's most likely Tera. If I had to guess, it's the Stellar Tera, which, if I misplayed this game, could definitely sweep me, but I think... Let's see, would Tera Ghost be an issue? No, they wouldn't have a knockout into me. Would Covert Cloak Tera Stellar be an issue? Yeah, they could knock out my Porygon. At which point... they'd probably beat my Incineroar, but would 2 Bullet Punches beat them? I'd expect so? Wait, were they leftovers? I think they were. Yeah, I'm being dumb. I'll just Trick Room. Yeah, they protect. I think they were actually leftovers, so no reason to worry. Because if they are Tera Ghost, then they can't really damage my Incineroar very quickly, and if they, for some reason, do Tera Ghost, they dodge my Fake Out, they go Leaf Storm into P2. They are at +4, but I don't think a Leaf Storm will knock out my Incineroar. Tera Blast could knock out my Metagross for sure, if I don't go for a Tera Normal and juke them out, but I think Bullet Punches plus Knockoff would close that game out regardless, so I think we're just going to go for the Flare Blitz and Tera Blast here. No real reason to mess around with Recover, I think. We're just going to accelerate the pace of this, but they do forfeit, so. Very cool strategy from them, but we played it a bit safe and kind of just like brought in the Primarina, had a good defensive switch into the Body Press. I kind of like sniffed out some level of debauchery with the stamina combination with Smeargle, but wasn't able to exactly predict it. Regardless, we did have the options we needed to take care of what they did bring. Okay, another Trick Room team from my opponent, actually. So we have a bit of a Trick Room mirror here. They have the Incineroar, the Farigiraf, the Blood Moon, Ursaluna, Rhyperior, Raging Bolt, and the Primarina. So actually that Primarina is kind of annoying for me because of their own Farigiraf, because I can't Thunderclap that. They could also be Lightning Rod on Rhyperior. There's definitely a lot to be worried about here. What I do like is Metagross here. If they don't lead Rhyperior, everything on the field probably folds to Tera Normal Explosion, so we're going to look out for that. P2 is a little, maybe a bit of a throw against Incineroar on lead. I kind of like Amoonguss a fair bit. Primarina's good, actually, as a lead. I gotta be a little bit worried about Raging Bolt, though, I think. I'm going to lead Incineroar, Metagross. I threaten a lot of damage with Hammer Arms into pretty much everything. Hyper Voice could be annoying. I like Amoonguss for sure. Can deal with their Trick Room modes, and then... gosh, that Raging Bolt could be an issue. I could Calm Mind up on their Pokemon, but I really do need to deal with that. What Primarina instead of Raging Bolt or Porygon 2? I think if Trick Room goes up, I should be beating their Raging Bolt. But yeah, the Raging, like, I think outside of Trick Room, which they might go for, like I'm not bringing my Trick Room setter, they also might not. So if they do that, Primarina I think might outspeed their Ursaluna and their Rhyperior, which would be really valuable. Farigiraf and Incineroar against Metagross Farigiraf. I think I'm good with that. What I can do is go right for a Hammer Arm, I think. If they fake me out, that's bad for them. In their mind, because I could go for a doubled up Stomping Tantrum, I think. What I think I want to do is, first off, check my speed on the 90, 78. Actually, I'm out under speed there, Incineroar, unfortunately. That could be annoying. I think I'm going to Hammer Arm, though, and go for a Knockoff would be annoying from them. I could knock off anything they have. I think is what I'm going to go for. They're faking me out, so I'm getting my Hammer Arm off, which is valuable. That's going to be a knockout. Yep, that's pretty good for my Amoonguss. And yeah, that's really valuable actually. Super valuable for Amoonguss, taking that out right off the bat and also lowering my speed. They went for Trick Room too. Okay, depending on what they have, that could be really good for me. But yeah, Hammer Arm paired with the Trick Room, like Hammer Arm is just perfect against opposing Trick Room teams for that exact reason. Primarina is out. Hyper Voice looking pretty safe for them. I could go Tera Parting Shot, and I think I am tempted to. Tera Grass is of little value to me. Yeah, I'm going to switch out into, I think, Amoonguss. I don't really want to take a risk there, and then I'm going to go Parting Shot. Could I knock off? I could. I guess I am losing. I think the Parting Shot is worth it here over on any of my other Pokemon. I'm never going to Tera against this Primarina, and I think, and if they're Throat Spray, I want to get ahead of that. Because that's usually, it's either Specs, Life Orb, or Throat Spray. They're going for a Tera of their own. Interesting. And it's going to be Tera Grass. Okay, so that gets it out of the way. We're not going to be able to Spore them. Oh, but we actually have a pretty cute setup here. This wasn't what I was going for, but now that they've revealed Tera Grass, that's a little annoying for me. I would much prefer to get my, like, I don't want them to be Tera Blast on their Primarina. I kind of doubt it, but it's possible. It is a little weird of a play from them, going for the Tera Grass that turn. I didn't think they were that threatened, but yeah, they're going for a Helping Hand. Yeah, they were Throat Spray. They went for Helping Hand, Hyper Voice. So we Tera out of the weakness and we get a Parting Shot, eliminating that boost. They can't get it again. So that's good. Unfortunately, I cannot go for Psychic. I can't go for Bullet Punch. I could go for Protect Explosion, which I'm tempted to do. Like, what better time to do it than now, I think. Primarina Dazzling Gleam does do a lot to them, I think, in the back. Would they Protect here? Maybe, maybe not. I think I could still get some value out of the Incineroar or the Metagross, so I'm going to actually go into Primarina here. It just depends on if their Goggles on this Farigiraf. Definitely shifts how this battle goes a fair bit. But them setting up Trick Room, I think, was a bit of a mistake on their behalf. They're not really threatening the Primarina, though, so I kind of want to protect Dazzle. Just to bait something out. I could Ice Beam Primarina, too. I'm not sure if that would knock out. It'd be pretty close and at least put it in Pollen Puff range, but I think Dazzling Gleam's a lot safer. They'd have to reveal Tera Blast here. Maybe this is a mistake, though, because if they do have Helping Hand Tera Blast, then... Oh, Calm Mind. Okay. Interesting. I should always beat that with Flare Blitz Incin in the late game, though, so I'm not that worried. But I could have gotten a pretty big Pollen Puff that turn. We are 2-hit KOing the Farigiraf. They Psychic into the Amoonguss, and we should actually have a KO into Farigiraf with Pollen Puff Dazzling Gleam then. I was able to navigate out of that position without having to risk them being safety goggles, actually. Yeah, we should have a knockout as long as that wasn't a speed tie the last turn. They are Calm Minding up, getting really, really powerful on the special defensive side, but I have some chip. They're not leftovers, so at some point we will just be able to get the Incineroar in. And I believe we were slower than them, so or we were faster than them in normal conditions, so we'll be able to Flare Blitz them, basically. Which is good. Raging Bolt is out, which is fine. I think Amoonguss does pretty well against that if they're not safety goggles, and they are Booster Energy, though. So that could be a problem, actually. Shouldn't really be, I don't think. As long as I don't make a mistake. So I should just have Protect Dazzle here. I don't think they can knock me out with their Primarina. Oh, I guess they could Thunderclap me. This was a bit foolish. Yeah, they go Thunderclap even though I had a Spore that turn, but we do survive. I think this is probably the turn. Yeah, they doubled it up, fair enough, but yeah, that was a bit of a misplay on my part. I could have gone for Rage Powder, and I definitely should have, but just didn't think to. I think this is fine though, because I'm faster than their Primarina. If they want to knock out my Amoonguss, they probably have to go for a Draco Meteor, which I can Rage Powder away. If they're Dragon Pulse, good on them, but I think they would still need a double protect. And even then, I think they would also need Draco Meteor in their set to beat my Incineroar. So I definitely could have gone into Metagross that one turn. They're Calm Mind, okay. That's, that could be a problem actually. I think regardless, I still do go for Rage Powder, Flare Blitz. Yeah, the Calm Minds are starting to get out of control though. I don't think this changes how I play the turn. They have to get a double protect to get a Moonblast off. Yeah, they don't go for it. So we should be knocking out Primarina here. Dragon Pulse could knock out my Amoonguss for sure if they have that, but they went for Thunderclap. So it might actually be a Thunderbolt Thunderclap Calm Mind set, which is susceptible to things like Amoonguss or just like, yeah, Ogerpon Fire that would resist both of those options and be able to follow me away the Thunderclaps from partners. That is the weakness of that set. So we do kind of just stall out Trick Room. They had a bit slower Pokemon, but our Amoonguss was able to stifle them as the slowest Pokemon of either team, and we were able to get out of that situation. I think now I'm feeling good about Rage Powder, Parting Shot. I think they probably should just forfeit, but they definitely have a chance, I guess, if I locked the wrong move and the wrong Pokemon. I don't think I revealed the Metagross yet. So I guess if I had P2, they could maybe win. But yeah, we're gonna lower their special attack one stage on the Thunderclap, bringing them to +1, +2, and bringing the Metagross. I think 2 Psychic Fangs should be enough to close it out. Didn't get to go for a cute explosion to deal with the combination of the Primarina and the Farigiraf, but nonetheless, I think it is the right Pokemon for the job here. Yep, just Rage Powder Psychic Fangs. They have revealed their booster energy. They do not have a safety goggles, which would be my main concern. They're going for another Calm Mind, which I guess they do need to beat the Amoonguss, but yeah, if I'm a normal Metagross with Stomping Tantrum, I beat you, so. Psychic Fangs, Choice Bang. Oh my god, that did a lot. The crit did a ton, but I think we had the knockout in 2 regardless. Yeah. Because it is one of the weakness with Raging Bolt. That's why I see a lot of the setup ones run either mostly Terra Grass, but I have seen a couple of the safety goggles here and there. Yep, and we do finally take the knockout with the Metagross. So goal of this game was basically, okay, if you're going to waste a Pokemon to set up your own Trick Room, I'll just bring my Amoonguss, which is kind of like a base low speed on both of our teams to handle your Trick Room mode, and then I'll bring my a bit faster Pokemon in the case that you do actually not set up Trick Room. So the Amoonguss ended up covering their game plan, and once Trick Room went down, yeah, with the smart use of Tera and defensive play, I was able to stall out Trick Room, and once Trick Room went down, it was just like kind of difficult for them to handle the Amoonguss, having not done a ton of damage to it. Okay, up against a Sunny Day team, it looks like, was Tailwind. So they have the Walking Wake, Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Metagross, Incineroar, and Entei. So double fire types, probably Sun, definitely something to be aware of. Incineroar, unfortunately, pretty bad against, I mean, it's good against a lot of their Pokemon, but not all of them. Fake Out into the Walking Wake is definitely valuable. Can I guarantee Trick Room up here? Probably not. But what I can do, like Incineroar is a good lead for them, no doubt. What can I do? I could lead my own Incineroar. I could go on the offensive right away. I could go Tera. Ooh, I could Tera Fairy into their Walking Wake. That's definitely tempting. I think Primarina defensively is good against their team. Not really, but maybe. I could see this guy getting some Calm Minds up, and defensively it's good against the fire types. And then last mon, I think I will go with the Primarina. Just as a switch into fire types, I don't think the Metagross is that good at that. And it also can cover the Walking Wake defensively very, very well, because Hydro Steam, Draco Meteor, and Flamethrower can't do a lot of damage to Primarina. Ooh, Christian with the sneaky pose on screen behind the Roaring Moon. Cool bag though. Okay, Metagross Incin is the lead against Incin P2. Okay, that's a bit odd. They are the faster Incineroar, as one would expect. I don't really want to trade Fake Outs necessarily. Do they have a Ghost type on this team? Special attack is good, but I'm not really going to be able to use that so well. I might just have to trade Fake Outs, but I don't love that. I think I'm going to go Trick Room, and then honestly Knock Off into the Metagross is tempting. What I don't want to do is Fake Out and then have a double power Stomping Tantrum with no real switch in next turn. So I'm going to go Knock Off, Trick Room. I don't want to Protect here because like I don't get a ton of value, but okay. They did go Stomping Tantrum into the Incin, so does a lot of damage, but we're activated into Citrus. We're activating the Citrus and we get the Trick Room up, so that definitely was not choice banded damage. We can get a quick Tera Blast into their Incin. They're probably going to knock off my P2 here, which is going to be pretty bad for my bulk this battle. How much do I care? I think I probably don't care that much when I can just like Parting Shot it pretty safely. I don't really care to... Yeah, they switch out the Metagross, so I didn't really want to knock that off. That didn't seem like it would be too valuable. I do have to be careful of kind of Intimidate cycling. That could be a bit annoying for me here. We get a good amount of damage, a very good amount of damage actually, into the Incineroar. We're going to put it at -2, but odds are pretty high. I think they'll go for a Parting Shot themselves, but I think switching into the Primarina is definitely my best play here. Regardless if it gets Parting Shotted, it's defensively walling this Walking Wake pretty well. And I can lock into Dazzling Gleam or Hyper Voice. Okay, knock off into P2, that's definitely fine. And I can do a lot with Tera Blast here. I think I'm not under that much threat from the Walking Wake, so I kind of want to focus down this Incineroar. Hyper Voice is an option. I think it's probably my best option to go for Dazzling Gleam, just to put the pressure to Tera on them, so I'm going to go for that. If there's Citrus Incin, which based on that damage, it's definitely possible. They might live this, and if they go for a Tera, they definitely will, like into Tera Water or Tera Grass, which are one of the more common types on Incineroar. At least at this stage in the metagame, but I think we're applying a lot of pressure with the Specs Primarina at this point. Even if they switch in the Metagross, that's going to take a hefty chunk from the Dazzling Gleam, and they're actually not going to have a Tera, or they're actually going to not switch in the Metagross, so definitely good to go for the Dazzle. Yep, it is water, so a Hyper Voice would have done actually more damage now that they've gone for the Tera, but I think Dazzle was definitely the right call here. We get the Tera Blast into the Incin, no surprise Fake Outs, and I'd expect a Dazzling Gleam to knock out if they're Citrus. If they're like a Pinchberry, like a Guave, they'll probably live, but no, it is Citrus, so it'll be close, but we might have a knockout here. Yeah, we do get that. They didn't seem to be super especially defensively invested based off of the Tera Blast damage, and there's the Hydro Steam, but without Sun Up, it's kind of like just a 80 base power move. Oh, they get the crit, but yeah, the crit and the Tera Water do let them take that knockout, but I've eliminated one of their Fake Out Pokemon. They're in range of another Dazzling Gleam. I do feel pretty fine about that position. I guess I should be a bit worried about the Metagross, but they could have Entei, they could have... Yeah, I guess Entei would be my fear if they go for Rillaboom. Okay. So Incin is going to do pretty well in this late game. It would have been strong there, but didn't go for it. I'm going to protect my Raging Bolt here and probably just go into the Incin. They do most likely have a Hydro Steam knockout. 2 turns of Trick Room left. I don't want to shed my Dragon typing just yet. I might want to Tera Grass actually on the... Yeah, what do I need my Tera for? Not a lot. I think I'm going to stay in and go for... Calm Mind, Dazzling Gleam, very tempting here. I could play this very aggressively with that play. I don't think it's necessary to, though. Like, I don't want to take the Draco Meteor damage. That seems like a little foolish. So I think I'm just going to go for the Tera Grass, Dazzling Gleam here. And allow myself to beat the Rillaboom with that defensive switch up. And then if they don't fake out the Primarina, they get knocked out. If they Grassy Glide, that's a mistake. Could have gone for Thunderclap. Dazzling Gleam, which is maybe a little safer, but I didn't want to... Yeah, I wonder why I didn't do that. Thunderclap, Dazzle is probably better. Okay. But we might have just taken a higher horsepower for no reason. They did fake out the Primarina, so they left me open to get a Calm Mind up. Fake out Protect, not typically the strongest of plays, but in a Trick Room situation, I can definitely see it being the best option. I think now Calm Mind Dazzle is pretty good for me. Yeah, I should be able to handle their... Like, Thunderclap will always lock down their Hydro Steam, their Walking Wake, and then with a Calm Mind and some damage, I should be able to beat the Metagross with the Grassy Terrain. I'm pretty happy about that. High horsepower, I guess, would be the concern on the Rillaboom, but they are probably Assault Vest based on that damage. We are underspeeding the Rillaboom in Trick Room, so that's notable. We'll see how the tiers on the... Okay, they are U-turn, so that's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. Okay. U-turn definitely more annoying than Fake Out. Yeah, the issue now... I guess I could be able to win the Fake Out stalling war, but it might be tricky. So my Walkie... No, I didn't take any damage on the Raging Bolt, so I didn't identify which of us on the Metagross was faster. Let me see. 95, I should be outspeeding on like a basic level, but I'm not certain. I actually don't really want my Incin to take too much damage yet. I have Thunderclap obviously into this guy. I think I might just... I should beat the Rillaboom 1v1 actually. I could Draco. I think I'm going to go Dazzle Thunderclap here. I could have switched into the Incineroar, but I feel like if I just keep the Incinin back and I don't take any damage... Oh my god, that does a ton of damage to them. But if I don't switch in the Incineroar, then I should be able to beat the Metagross 1v1 with the chip I had on it, and I think with the Thunderclap on that turn, we should have a knockout in the Metagross, and we do actually. Okay, that's really good. So now, their best source of damage into my Raging Bolt is U-turn if they don't have high horsepower on their set, which I would be a little surprised if they did. But with leftovers and Grassy Terrain, we're healing a ton. And I think we should have the endgame lockdown against the Walking Wake pretty safely after making that read. Hardly even a read though, I just wanted the damage onto the Metagross, and I thought they might not have a knockout into Primarina that turn. But yeah, I think at this point we do have a pretty safe Protect, and really no reason not to just go for U-turn, Protect Dazzling Gleam. Given the Rillaboom can never beat us, or it can't beat us fast enough, and we can always just pressure Thunderclaps once the Primarina goes down into the Walking Wake, and then Incineroar can beat the Rillaboom. There is the Fake Out. We'll see if they Draco into my Primarina or reveal Flamethrower or something like that. Yep, fair enough. That's usually the third move if it's not Tera Blast on a Walking Wake, and given they are the Tera Water, it wasn't likely to be the Tera Blast. So another critical hit on the Walking Wake actually. They're getting pretty lucky there, but I think it largely does not matter. because, like I said, we pressure them. Like, we're basically forcing the slot to protect with Thunderclap as we're healing 12% each turn, and then Incineroar is going to knock out the Rillaboom. So unless there is a 5th Pokemon I am not aware that they brought, we should have this. And that, like I was saying, like in the intro, this mode for the Raging Bolt is just generally very strong, so as Trick Room was winding down, if you get even a single Calm Mind up, the damage you're putting out is just like very, very high. No reason to even fake out, I don't think. They go Grassy Glide, but yeah, if they don't have Substitute here, we should just completely beat their Walking Wake, which we do. We knock that out straight up. They shed away their immunity, or not their immunity, their resist on the Dragon type for a bit of damage earlier. Not that it would have mattered. I think the +1 Thunderclap was always going to get them. And we see the Incineroar closing it out in wrestler fashion with that Flare Blitz. I feel like whenever it goes for Fake Out, it really should just do the slapping animation from previous generations, but it like does a kind of weird headbutting type thing, which I'm not in love with, but that is the price of adding this monstrosity back in. Is now at least the animations match how disgusting this Pokemon's gameplay is. Okay, interesting team from my opponent. They have Fluttermane, Incineroar, Landorus, Goldengo, Rotom, Heat, and Gastrodon. So very teched out against meta options with the Gastrodon. So the Goldengo, definitely a big issue for Porygon because I can't hit it in or out of Tera, basically. Knockoff, always going to be annoying for Porygon. I could see Metagross being of value here, but Fluttermane plus Incin is definitely a difficult lead. This Metagross is actually horrible against Goldengo. My goodness, okay. With a Calm Mind up, I could probably beat most of their Pokemon, like knock out everything with Draco. Except for Flutter, I wouldn't be able to do too much against. Goldengo does seem like a bit of an issue, but I do like Incin as a lead. P2's okay. I think I might have to lead P2, unfortunately. It is very passive for me. I think my main neutral source of damage on this team is unfortunately going to have to be the Primarina. It's pretty... yeah, the Gastrodon could be annoying, but it's not really threatening much damage, and I can Spore it. Could I fit in Raging Bolt somewhere here? I don't think so. I think I do need some immediate damage with Hyper Voice into Goldengo. Or Dazzling Gleam if they have Tera Dragon or something. But yeah, really strong team from them. I do definitely detect a bit of a Goldengo weakness with this team, where the only Pokemon that has a naturally strong matchup against it is Incineroar. The Porygon 2, horrible. Amoonguss, pretty bad, yeah. Primarina, not great, but at least you're threatening neutral damage. Raging Bolt, you need them to be going for not Nasty Plot for you to get the Thunderclaps off. So they lead Incin plus the Fluttermane. Okay, fair enough. I do have a Fake Out Trick Room, I think, into them. The only problem is if they're in Prison Fluttermane. I would doubt it on a team like this, though. We get the attack raise, which is a little annoying, but definitely to be expected to some extent. Fake Out's an option for sure. I kind of want a Parting Shot, though. I kind of expect to be able to get a... well, would you switch out the Lando? You might actually U-turn into Goldengo here, so what I'm going to do is go for a Trick Room, Parting Shot here. I think they, under normal circumstances, should not be able to knock out my Porygon 2 this turn. I think with Intimidate, they shouldn't, even with Terra Normal or Terra Fairy and Moonblast, be able to knock out the Flutter or the Porygon 2, even with the Stomping Tantrum. So I am opening myself up to a Rock Slide flinch, actually. Okay, fair enough. But they did U-turn, and I could have gone into the Lando. Interesting Protect on the Flutter, actually. That's annoying, but is what it is. Yeah, really good Protect there. I didn't want to Parting Shot the Lando because I was worried about Goldengo coming in, but I could have knocked that off, I guess. Oh, it is Incin, though. Okay. It's a bit odd, but... yeah, not how I was expecting this game to go, but yeah, Parting Shot would have been good into the Incin. I don't get it, though. I think what I will do is I might double switch here. Taking damage on the... Okay, what's most likely to get knocked off? The P2. I don't hate losing Rocky Helmet, but I do hate losing Specs. So I'm going to switch out. I think they could fake out. Like, one option would be to switch into the Amoonguss on the Primarina slot so that I get a bit of Rocky Helmet damage, but I think it's also reasonably likely they go for a knockoff here, and I don't really want to lose my Specs here. That's my main source of damage on this team. But like a Tera Fairy Moonblast this turn, fake out double into the Incin could be problematic. A parting shot from them would be bad as well. Incineroar is definitely enemy number one of Trick Room teams. Like, a lot of them have cheesy ways to deal with it, but if you don't have priority blocking or Terra Ghosts or covert cloaks, it can definitely be very difficult to handle the fake out pressure that it's consistently able to do with fake out, switch, parting shot, etc. They did go knockoff into the Amoonguss, so we did catch that turn right. They do a ton of damage to us though. And they ended up going for Dazzling Gleam, which I am definitely more in favor of. I think Protect is probably pretty good for them here. Would you Tera yet? Probably. I think I kind of want to go for Dazzling Gleam. You would most likely Flare Blitz here, if I had to guess. Tear Grass would be good for them. I think I'm going to go Protect Dazzling Gleam, but I could go up pretty big if they did not Tear and they just left their Incineroar in, expecting to live the Liquid Voice, Hyper Voice. But they could equally likely have the Gastrodon in the back, and I don't want to give that up really. Give them a free Storm Drain boost. I did take a lot of damage on the Amoonguss, but I could just switch it out. But given the Flutter Mane is on the field, it's kind of hard. Maybe it should have been... You know what? I don't think this play was correct. It might end up being like... It might work out, but I think switching out the Amoonguss into the Incineroar and going for either Dazzling Gleam or Hyper Voice is a little bit better. We do force out the Incineroar Tera and we protect the Amoonguss, but we will see what their Flutter Mane does. They didn't protect, so they left that open to Spore, which is interesting. We have a 2-hit KO on both, thankfully. If they drop me with Moonblast, that would be a little annoying, but we'll just have to see. They go for Dazzling Gleam. I wonder, did they get a booster energy boost? I don't recall. I think we don't have a knockout. Did I miss that? I think I actually do not care if their Incin knocks out my Amoonguss at this point. Like, it's not really that valuable. I think I'm going to go Dazzling Gleam, Pollen Puff into my Primarina here. They are switching out. I couldn't have spored that. But they switch into Rotom Heat. Okay, that's good damage. Regardless, we should have it cleaned up with Hyper Voice if we can get Trick Room up, actually. We don't knock out the Incineroar, which was kind of what I expected based on the damage, but they were the Aguave Berry. Interesting. Mago Berry. Same thing, they Parting Shot, not Fake Out, which is a call. But we have our Primarina back at health, a suitable health, and we've burned their Tera. So we took a knockout. Did we take a knockout? No, we did not. But we did a lot of damage with that Trick Room, and we pretty much just exchanged it for the item on the Porygon and a bit of a worse position with this Primarina, which I think I'm fine with. Okay, one more turn to Trick Room. I think we're getting Porygon back in here and going for a... Could be Safety Goggles on the Rotom Heat, but if it is, I don't really mind. They could be Nasty Plot, which would of course be annoying, but I don't think they have a knockout with Shadow Ball into Amoonguss, so I think it's a bit safer to Spore, suss out the Safety Goggles here. We are getting an Attack Raise, unfortunately, and they protect a Rotom, so probably was not Safety Goggles. I think you can assume I'm Specs there. But they did double protect, so all in all, come out of that in good shape. I think we're in the type of spot, though. Do we need to preserve Amoonguss? Maybe. I don't think I lose a lot if I just go for protect. Do I lose a lot by protect? I don't think so. I might be able to slow play this battle, actually. That might not be the most fun thing to hear, but I think they're not actually applying a lot of pressure. There's no real need to get itchy and spore, or like sack the Amoonguss to get the Primarina in. Like that definitely would be good, but I'm not forced into that position yet, and I imagine I'll be able to get to that position a bit more organically without sacrificing Amoonguss, which with Regenerator is basically a fresh Pokemon if I switch it out at this point. They did Shadow Ball Amoonguss, so what do you go for on Rotom? Thunderbolt. Okay, so they read the Primarina switch most likely. So that's all good. I'm threatening Spore. Should I sacrifice the Primarina? Should I risk that? Probably no, but I could. I think at this point I'm not confident that they're not safety goggles is the issue. I think I could spore the Rotom, and I think I will. Just to test that. Ideally, like, I think based on the way the last turn worked out of Trick Room, I think it was pretty obvious I was Specs Primarina. They had me at -2. They were safety goggles. Okay. Alright. Foolish play on my part then. They go for Dazzling Gleam, and I do live, fortunately. But that was a huge misplay on my part, just giving them that. Yeah, I do feel the way they played the last turn of Trick Room was a little suspect, given they were safety goggles, but maybe they were playing exactly to instill that sense of safety in me, and they almost get into a pretty good position off of it. Would have been safer to spore into the Flutter Mane, I suppose, but didn't go for that, unfortunately. That is fine, because we get this Hyper Voice off. I don't think it will knock out Incineroar, but it'll get it pretty close. And I can just go for... I can't go for Rage Powder anymore. But if I wanted to, I could go for Tera Grass on the Primarina, sponge a hit that way, and if this knocks out Incineroar, great. It does not, but that's alright. Actually, I don't have to do that. I probably should, but do I need to? No. Let's see. Do I need my Tera on anything? The Incineroar? No. The Porygon 2? Probably not, but maybe. I think they have to get a critical hit here to knock me out on the Primarina, which I think I'm okay with. But I think if they go for a... I don't want them to make a read here and overheat me, basically, so I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice and Pollen Puff, even though it seems a bit more obvious. Like, I could just go for a safer combination of, like, Tera Grass and Pollen Puff. If they make the read and overheat me, I could actually lose the game. Because I've lost my Tera, I won't be able to easily dispatch the Flutter Mane. Whereas this, they actually have to get a paralysis or a critical hit to come out on top that turn. They are moving into the last turn of Trick Room, though, which is annoying. And I think it might be time just to bring out the Porygon 2 again. Get that Regenerator, knock out one of their Pokemon finally. So this is like really how Porygon teams are meant to be played. So you get the first Trick Room up, you kind of soften them up a bit, but oftentimes you're not exerting enough offense to really take a knockout. Second Trick Room, okay, we're starting to get there. We might have taken 1 or 2 knockouts at this point, and then if Porygon and all your Pokemon are still healthy with the combination of Recover, Pollen Puff, etc., your opponent's offensive options have oftentimes kind of dwindled, whereas yours have not. Like, they can protect the Rotom, but at what cost? Yeah, we're just going to take the Flutter Mane here with Hyper Voice because we have a stronger move than when we were spamming Dazzling Gleam, which was like a tight 2-hit KO. So with this 90 base power stronger than the 80, going to be a clean KO here. Don't even have to worry about damage rolls. But this is the weakness of Porygon Trick Room, is that while you are able to get multiple Trick Rooms in a row, you make less potent use of your Trick Room against more common teams because of things like Incineroar, Rillaboom, which can just like consistently fake out cycle you. Whereas on a more like Farigiraf or Indeedee centered Trick Room team, anti-fake out is embedded in the strategy, so you're fine there. This is like one of the only Pokemon where you would actually have to PP up your Trick Rooms because we are starting to run low. So we intimidate the Incineroar. They probably go for a knockoff at this point, but they did go for Fake Out. They just went right for it. Totally fine by me. They go for Thunderbolt into the Incineroar, doing some good damage, but with the Fake Out on the board, with Trick Room about to go up, I am feeling fine about all that. Let's see, we are 78 speed. I think we underspeed their Incin. This is looking pretty safe, like a parting shot Trick Room. Close it out. They did go for Fake Out last turn. Let me confirm that. Yes, sir. So yeah, this is kind of the slow, methodical games you do tend to play with Incin, Amoonguss, Trick Room, especially with Porygon 2, but they do cancel out. Yeah, I think they kind of see the writing on the walls. I have an incredibly safe, slowest parting shot into Trick Room, and then at that point, they don't have the resources to handle another cycle of Hyper Voices with Landorus in the back, so pretty happy with how that game went. I think it definitely showcases one of the strengths of this team. Even against Incineroar, like, you're playing against Incineroar, but if you can force them to consistently Fake Out and not give up the Eviolite on your Porygon 2, it is more of a nuisance than an actual counter to your Trick Room strategy. So that will do it for battles today, featuring this Choice Specs Primarina team featuring Explosion, Metagross, and Protect Porygon 2. Really incredible stuff, can definitely surprise a lot of opponents. Shout out to Rerun Papa for creating the team and sharing the rental code. I have the rental code in the top right of the video, along with Rerun Papa's Twitter account. Follow them if you want to see their teams immediately when they're posted on Twitter. I have the EV spreads extracted from this rental code in the description below and the Poke Paste if you want to use the team on Pokemon Showdown. This was definitely a very cool team. I don't think the Explosion Protect combo is that consistent, but it definitely feels very good when you're able to execute it. The Primarina, the Raging Bolt definitely were impressive Trick Room options, and then of course Incineroar, Amoonguss. P2, insane bulk, able to let you slow play a lot of games and just outlast your opponents. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, leave a comment, and with all that being said, peace y'all.